crane. He walks in and says, "Hit me with a nice tall iced tea." Iced tea. Okay? Must be hot. A hot day, probably. Very thirsty. Bartender says, "Just a second. Just a second. I gotta. This is a contraction, really, of got to. I have got to, but he doesn't say I have got to. He says, I gotta. And that's the way a lot of people speak, especially in Canada, United States. You're going to say, I gotta. Okay? Take a couple, 1, 2, 2 is a couple of aspirin. Gotta take a couple of aspirin. I've got. Okay? Here I gotta, here I've got. Same thing. I've got a splitting headache. Very bad headache. The doctor says, you know, think about it. There's a school of thought. I already talked about that. School of thought. It's just like a group of people who have been thinking about this, studying it, probably doctors, psychologists, psychiatrists, whatever. They're the school of thought. And the school suggests all physical pain. And then it gives a list: headache, earache, stomach ache. Okay? Pay attention to that word. You can use it for any pain that you have. You can have a backache, you can have a toothache, whatever. Okay? So he says headache, earache, stomach ache, what have you, is like saying etc. Okay? What have you, etc. And then the bartender cuts him out. He says, headache, pay attention. Okay. So the doctor says, okay, thank you. Anyway, so he wants to keep talking about this. So he says, anyway, these people, what people? The school of thought. Okay? He's talking about the school of thought people. The doctors, the psychiatrists, the scientists, whatever they are. Okay? These people say that those pains, aches, pains, same thing, are merely a physical manifestation, or physical manifestations. Manifestations, you could call that also symptoms. In fact, I would probably use the word symptoms. And you probably all know what that means. So, merely, only, this word right here, you could say only, are only physical symptoms or merely physical manifestations, same thing, of a deeper trauma. Okay? Trauma, we all know what that means. Deeper is something that's way down inside your mind. Okay? And then he goes on to say either, and that means it could be anything. If I say either, it could be this thing, this thing, this thing, and he gives a list: psychological, emotional, or spiritual. So it could be either this or that. The trauma. Okay? Suppose you just relax. Suppose you just relax. Okay? Take it easy. Just relax. It's the same as take it easy. Suppose you just take it easy, or suppose you take it easy, or just relax. And try to remember, try to think back, the very thing you were thinking about. What you were thinking about. Okay? What was in your mind? Thinking about, actually I need to include were, what was in your mind? You could say that, okay? Talk to me about the very thing that that was in your mind when the headache first started. You could say began. Began. First started, it's the same thing. Then we may be able to get to the root of the problem. The root of the problem being his headache. The root of it is the real reason why he has the headache. Maybe it's a trauma, a psychological trauma, an emotional trauma, or a spiritual trauma. That's why he has the headache. So getting to the root of the problem is finding out what is causing the headache. Okay? So the bartender says, all right, well, I was standing here, thinking about how when I was a little kid, just a little boy, I'm going to say a little boy, you could say a little child, kid, child, and since he's a man, boy, okay, I was the only kid, use his word kid again, in my town. Okay, his town, his city, the city where he lived, or the village where he lived, or maybe in his neighborhood. Okay? He was the only one who did not have a bicycle. Right here, the contraction didn't. Okay? Of did not. Not means no in English. Okay? So he had no bicycle when he was a child. Okay? So now I'm going to read this whole thing. Doctor says, hit me with a nice tall glass of iced tea. Nice and tall. With ice, right? A tea with ice because he wants it really cold. Probably it's a hot day. Bartender, just a second, Dr. Crane. I got to take a couple of aspirin. I've got a splitting headache. Doctor, you know there's a school of thought that suggests all physical pain, headache, earache, stomach ache, what have you. Bartender cuts him off and he says, headache, pay attention. Doctor says, okay, thank you. Anyway, these people, the school of thought people, these people say that those pains are merely physical manifestations of some deeper trauma, either psychological, emotional, or spiritual. Suppose you just relax and try to remember the very thing you were thinking about when the headache first started. Then we may be able to get to the root of the problem. Bartender says, all right, well, I was standing here thinking about how when I was a little kid, I was the only kid in my town who didn't have a bicycle. Didn't have. Now, hit me. Hit me. Hit me. I'm not pronouncing that T. That T, when you say it fast, hit me, doesn't sound. I'm not saying hit me, I'm saying hit me, because I'm putting it all together. Hit me with a nice, tall iced tea. Okay? So he's explaining what kind of tea he wants. He doesn't just want tea, he wants it to be a nice, tall glass with ice. Hit me with a nice tall iced tea. But bartender says, just a second. Once again, that tea is silent. when you say it fast. Just a second. Just a second. And this D sound right there, it's very soft. Just a second. Just a second. Just a second. Wait. Just a second, Dr. Crane. I gotta take. I have to take. Okay? I need to take. I must take a couple of aspirin. A couple of aspirin. Why? Because I've got. Now, I gotta and I've got are the same thing. You could also say I have a splitting headache. Okay? So the doctor says, you know, there's a school. There's a. I'm going to put those sounds together. There's a. And remember this little letter right here, the A, you can pronounce it A or A or Doesn't matter. He pronounces it There's a school of thought. School of thought. And this F here sounds like a V, of. School of. In fact, this word sounds like an AV, of. School of thought. School of thought. That suggests all physical pain. Okay? And you want to keep that separated right there. All physical pain. Headache, earache, stomachache. You say those really fast. What have you? What have you? It's again. Say fast. T sound disappears. What have you? What have you? What have you? Bartender cuts him off. He says, headache. Pay attention. Pay attention. And this T right here sounds like a CH. Tension. Tension. Headache. Pay attention. He says, thank you. Remember your TH sound? Thank you. Okay? You could have just said thanks. Okay? Anyway is like saying whatever, but I was trying to tell you something here. Anyway, so he wants to go back to where he was talking. These people, okay? He's talking about the school of thought people. These. And you want to make the sound of this S right here, the E is silent. The S sound is really strong here. These people say. What do they say? That, those pains. That, those. These two sounds right here, the T and the TH are going to run together. And so that T doesn't even sound. You say that, those. That, those. That, those pains are only, or merely, he could have said only. I would have probably said only. But anyway, merely physical manifestations. Big word. It just means symptoms. I would have said symptoms. I would have said only and symptoms right there. But I wasn't in there. Okay, he says that those pains are merely physical manifestations of some, of whatever, you could have said that. Deeper, it's from the word deep, okay? You got deep, and then you got deeper. Okay? Like in a swimming pool, you jump into the swimming pool, you want to jump in where it's deep. Maybe deeper than other areas because you're jumping into the water, right? So you're talking about something that's really far down. Far down, he's talking about inside of you. Okay? He's talking about traumas. Okay? And then either is when you're giving a choice between 2, 3, 4, many things. You say either, psychological or emotional or spiritual. And so he says, suppose you just relax and try to remember. Try to. I'm going to run these two words together. Try to. It's almost like an A sound. To. Try to remember. Try to remember. The very thing. He doesn't even have to say very. He could have just left that word out. Remember the thing you were thinking about. Okay? What he's talking about was what was in your mind. Okay? What was in your mind at that time? What were you thinking about when the headache began or first started? Okay? Then we may be able to peg all that together. May be able to. Once again, the T, the two is like a to. Able to. May be able to get to. To get to. Run those two sounds together. Get to. Get to. Like it's one T. Get to the root of the problem. All right. Well, I was standing here thinking about how, when I was a little kid, run all that together, when I was a little kid, and these two T's right here, when you say it fast, you don't hear the T's. Little kid, little kid, little kid. You don't hear the T's. Little kid. I was the only kid in my town who didn't, once again, T sound disappears. Have a bicycle. Have a. Didn't have a. I didn't have a bicycle. Okay? Hit me with a nice tug of iced tea. Just a second, Dr. Crane. I got to take a couple of aspirin. I've got a splitting headache. You know there's a school of thought that suggests all physical pain, headache, earache, stomachache, what have you. Headache, pay attention. Thank you. Anyway, these people say that those pains are merely physical manifestations of some deeper trauma, either psychological, emotional, or spiritual. Suppose you just relax and try to remember the very thing you were thinking about when the headache first started. Then we may be able to get to the root of the problem. All right. Well, I was standing here thinking about how when I was a little kid, I was the only kid in my town who didn't have a bicycle. Root of the. Yeah, I should run this together too. Root of the, because if you say it fast, that T sound disappears as well. Root of the, almost don't hear it. Root of the. It's almost like a the sound. Root of the problem. Very good. Anybody want to try to read that? Anybody like to attempt it? Would you like to attempt it?
Yeah, but I would like to make them read also. Would you let me a little bit? You can take a break if you throw.
No, I'm good.
You good? All right. So we're gonna try to read this again. You can listen another accent. Everybody say, hit me, hit me, hit me,
Hit me.
hit me, hit me, hit me, hit me. With a nice tall iced tea. With an ice. 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 Tall iced tea. Tall iced tea. You understand what is a tall iced tea, right? Everybody
tall
know
would be
that?
a glass
It's a big glass
Big glass.
of iced tea.
with ice in it. Yeah.
Yeah. You. Okay, with a nice tall iced tea. Okay, just a second.
Just a second.
Just a second.
Just a second. Just a second.
Just a second.
Dr. Crane, I gotta take a couple of aspirin.
I gotta take a cup. ¿Cómo? A cup
I gotta take a couple of aspirin.
of ice.
I gotta turn off.
I gotta take
I gotta take
a couple of aspirin.
a couple aspirin.
Yeah. The thing is with this English that we are teaching here, you see, once you learn this, you're gonna use it hundreds of times during a conversation. So you gotta learn to do it real well. Okay, so yeah, I gotta take a couple of aspirin. I gotta take a couple of what? A couple of.
I gotta take a break.
I gotta take a break. I gotta take
take,
whatever you want to say, you know. But you gotta learn and say it again, over and over again. I gotta take a couple of aspirin. I gotta take out this. I gotta take that. Okay. So would you want to try it again? I gotta take a couple of aspirin.
A couple aspirin.
Okay. I got a split headache.
I got a splitting headache.
I got a split headache.
splitting.
I'm sorry, I'm splitting.
Yeah, this ing sound.
I got a
Ing.
splitting
Yeah,
headache.
yeah.
Splitting.
I got a splitting headache.
I got a splitting headache.
Splitting headache. I got a splitting headache.
I got a spin headache.
Splitting.
Spin.
Splitting.
Spin.
Splitting. Splitting. Splitting headache. I got a splitting headache.
I got a splitting headache.
Actually, these two T's are gonna sound like a D. Splitting.
Splitting. Yeah. Almost like an R. In Spanish, it's like a. So you say, I got a splitting headache.
I got a splitting headache.
You can use this. I got a splitting earache.
I got a splitting
Earache.
earache.
You can use it.
Sure.
Stomachache. Splitting stomachache.
But in Spanish it's like what? Exactly.
Splitting.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't
Splitting.
translate it. You wouldn't translate it. You would just say, you know, I have a headache.
Split. You split something. You cut it in half. You split.
Yes, but el sentido o
Oh, all right. Splitting headache is very very strong headache.
Like a
Very
migraine
strong.
almost.
You feel that you're dying for the headache because of the headache. So I got a splitting headache. You know there is a school of thought. You know, say the doctor. You know there's a school of thought. You know,
You know, there's a school of thought.
Alina.
Huh?
Alina. Aha, surprising.
You know there's a school of thought.
Right. You know there's school of thought. There's school of thought.
You know the school of thought.
There's a school of thought that suggests
Yes.
that suggests
That's a yes.
that suggests all physical pain.
That suggests all physical pain.
Right.
Dull physical pain.
Yeah, that suggests all physical pain.
that suggests all physical pain.
That suggests all physical pain.
Headache,
Headache.
earache, earache, stomach ache, stomach ache.
What have you?
What have you?
What
What
have
have you?
What have you?
What have you?
what
What
have
have you?
What have you? What have you? Headache. Pay attention.
headache.
Headache, pay attention.
Headache.
Headache, pay attention.
Headache.
Headache.
Headache. Don't think it's a
Headache.
ch. It's a
Headache.
yeah headache.
Headache. Pay attention. Headache.
Headache.
Like a
Yeah,
cow.
the green?
Yeah.
Headache.
A-E-K
Yes.
sound. Ache. Ache. Ache.
Ache. Headache.
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 Pay attention.
Headache. Pay attention.
Pay attention. Headache. Pay attention.
Right. Headache.
Headache. Pay attention.
Headache. Pay attention.
Pay attention.
Headache, pay attention.
Headache.
Pay attention.
Pay attention.
Headache.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you anyway. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you anyway.
Thank you. Anyway,
Anyway,
these people say that those pain,
those people say those pain.
those pain,
Those pain.
These people say that those pains.
right?
These people say that those pains.
Those pain,
Those pains.
Thank you. Anyway, these people say that those pains.
right?
Thank you. Anyway, these people say that those pains
Right. Are merely physical manifestation.
Are merely
Are merely physical manifestation.
are merely physical manifestation.
A merely physical manifestation.
Are merely physical manifestation.
are mere physical manifestation
Right. Of some deeper trauma. Of some deeper trauma.
And some
Of some
of some
deeper trauma.
Of some deeper trauma.
Or some deeper trauma.
Right. Either or either psychological.
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 Okay. Psychological.
Either psychological.
Either or either. You can say either or either. Psychological. Psychological.
Psychological.
Okay.
Either ¿Cámara?
Psychological.
Psychological.
Either psychological.
Psycho.
Psychological.
Psychological. Psycho.
Either psychological.
Psycho.
Psychological.
Psychological. Psychological. Okay.
emotional
Either.
either psychological
Right. Okay. Emotional or spiritual.
Emotional or spiritual.
Or spiritual.
Hospital.
Or spiritual.
Hospital.
Emotional or spiritual.
Emotional or spiritual.
Emotional or spiritual.
Emotional or spiritual.
emotional or spirit
Or spiritual. Yeah. Suppose you just relax and try to remember the very thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Suppose you relax.
Suppose you relax.
Suppose.
Suppose you relax.
Suppose you relax.
Suppose you just relax.
Suppose you
just
just relax.
no,
Right.
no.
Okay.
Suppose
We're missing the
you
word.
just relax
Okay. Suppose you just relax and try to remember.
I'm trying to remember.
And try to remember.
And try to remember.
I try to remember.
And try to remember.
and try to remember
Okay. The very thing you were thinking about.
The very thing.
The very thing
The very thing
you were thinking about.
thinking.
You were the very thing you were thinking about.
The very thing you were thinking about.
You're very thinking
Think.
about
The very thing.
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 The very thing.
You were thinking about.
Okay.
The very thing you were thinking about.
Right.
the very thing you're thinking about
You were thinking about. Right. When the headache first started.
When the headache first started.
Right.
When the headache first starts.
First started.
When Harry
When the headache.
headache
Headache. When the headache
when Harry first time
first started.
first time
Right.
When the headache first starts.
First start.
When the headache first start.
When the headache, when the headache first start, okay? Then we may be able to get to the root.
Oh.
Okay, then we may be able.
Then remember,
We may be able.
remember,
Then we may be able.
they remember,
Then. Then.
see, then, remember, all,
We may be able.
remember every time,
We may be.
remember,
Able.
you remember,
Then we may be able.
they remember, able,
We may be able. We may be able. Okay.
The way
No, then.
the way may be able.
No, then we may be able.
¿Cómo?
Then.
Then way
We
then we
may be able. Okay. Then we may be able.
Then we may. ¿Cómo se dice el orden?
Be able.
Be.
Be able.
Be able.
Be able.
Be able.
Be able.
Be able.
Okay. Then we may be able.
Then we be able.
We may be able.
We be.
We may. Then we
Then
may.
550.
we.
Then we may be able. Okay, Gaby?
Then we may be able.
All right.
Then we may be able.
Then we may be able. Okay. To get to the root. To get to the root.
to get to the root,
To get to the root.
to get to the root,
To get to the root.
To get to the root.
To get to the root.
Right.
To get to the root.
To get to the root.
Good. Of the problem.
of the problem,
Okay?
Of the problem.
Of the problem.
Of the problem.
Of the problem.
Okay.
Problem.
Francisco, let me take them through this one more time.
All right.
All right, this first is pretty easy. Hit me with a nice tall iced tea. Hit me with a nice tall iced tea. Hit me, hit me, hit me, hit me.
hit me with,
Hit me with
hit me with a nice tall,
TH sound. With,
high with
good,
a nice tall iced tea.
good. Hit me with a nice tall iced tea.
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 Iced tea. Hit me with a nice tall iced tea.
Hit me with a nice tall iced tea.
Hit me with a
Hit
nice
me.
tall iced tea.
Hit me with a nice tall iced tea.
Ice.
Good. Is that who's everybody? No, everybody. Just a second. Just a second.
Just a second.
Just a second.
Just a second.
Just a second.
Just a second.
Just a second.
Just a second. I gotta take a couple of aspirin. I gotta take a couple of aspirin.
I gotta take a couple of aspirin.
I gotta take a couple of aspirin.
I gotta take a couple of aspirin.
A couple of.
Oh,
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 a couple of aspirin. But it's very fast. It's very fast. You almost don't hear that. A couple of aspirin.
up, aspirin,
A
up,
couple of aspirin.
up,
A couple of aspirin.
Huh?
A couple of aspirin.
A couple?
aspirin.
A couple of aspirin.
Aspirin.
Mhm. Give me a couple of aspirin. I got a headache. Give me a couple of aspirin. Okay. Give me a couple of drinks. You go into a bar. You got somebody with you. Give me a couple of drinks. Okay. Give me a couple of bucks. I got no money here. Give me a couple of bucks. Anything. A couple of. Okay. And then I gotta is the same as saying I've got to. Okay. So I've got a splitting headache. I've got a splitting headache.
I got a splitting headache.
I've got a splitting headache.
I got a splitting headache.
I've got a splitting headache.
I got a spirit hand.
Good. You know there's a school of thought. You know there's a school of thought.
You know there's a school of thought.
There's
Good. A little more smoothly. You know there's a school of thought?
You know there's a school of thought.
There's a. It sounds like that. There's a.
There's a.
You know there's a school of thought?
You know there is a school of thought.
Good. That suggests all physical pain. Okay? That suggests all physical pain.
That suggests some physical pain.
Listen, everybody. Headache, earache, stomach ache, backache, toothache, arm ache, whatever. Okay? Muscle ache. Okay? It's all run together. What have you? Headache, pay attention. Okay? Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Anyway,
Anyway,
these people
these people
say that those pains
Say that those things
are merely physical manifestations.
Are merely physical manifestations.
Good. Are merely physical manifestations.
Physical manifestation.
Good. Of some deeper trauma. Of some
of some
deeper trauma. Of some deeper trauma.
Of some deeper trauma.
Of some deeper trauma. Either or either. Okay. Either psychological, emotional, or spiritual.
psychological, emotional, or spiritual.
Good. Either psychological, emotional, or spiritual.
Either psychological, emotional, or spiritual.
Good. Either psychological, emotional, or
Either
spiritual.
psychological, emotional, or spiritual.
Good. Suppose you just relax. You know, it's like saying, calm down. Take it easy, right? Suppose you just relax. Suppose you just relax.
you realize
Gabby, suppose you just relax.
Suppose you just relax.
Good. And try to remember
And try to remember
the very thing
The other thing,
you were thinking about. You were thinking about. You were thinking about. You were thinking about.
You were thinking about.
Good. Now this word right here, we have the TH sound and the ING sound. Ing, and then ink right here. Thinking. Thinking about. Thinking about. Thinking about. When the headache first started. When the headache first started.
when the hairs first
Headache. Where am I? Here. Head. Ache.
when the headache first,
Take it in two parts. Headache.
when the headache first
Headache.
Headache.
When the headache first started.
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 Gabby, then we may be able to
Then we may be able to
get to the root of the problem. Get to the root
get
of
to
the
the
problem.
root of the problem.
Then, TH sound, then we
Then we
may be able to,
may be able to.
able, may be able.
May be able.
Very good. Look at my pronunciation, how I have my mouth. May be able, may be able.
Maybe able.
Good. Then we
Then we
may be able,
maybe able.
may be able to,
Maybe able to.
may be able to get to.
Maybe able. Maybe able to get.
Good. May be able to get to.
may be able to get to.
Then we may be able to get to.
Then the way maybe wait to get the answer.
That's okay. Practice. Then we
Then we
may be able to.
Then we maybe able to
Get to
get to
the root of the problem.
the root of those
The problem.
problem.
Okay. All right. Well, I was standing here thinking about how, when I was a little kid, I want somebody to say, when I was a little kid. Gloriana, when I was a little kid.
When I was little,
When I was a
when I was
little kid.
little kid.
Gabby, when I was a little kid.
When I was a little kid.
Liana, when I was a little kid. When I was a, take it a little bit by little bit. When I was a,
a little kid.
good.
When I was a little kid.
When I was a little kid.
When I was a little kid,
When I was a little kid.
When I was a little kid.
When I was a little kid. Say it again.
I was a little kid.
When I was a little kid.
When I was a little kid.
Good. I was the only kid. I was the only kid. What's
I was
the only kid?
the only kid.
I was the
I was the
only kid.
only.
I was the only kid.
I was the only kid.
I was the only kid.
what that the only kid?
Okay. I was
I was
the only kid.
the only kid.
Good. When I was the only kid.
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 Now let's do it all. When I was a little kid, I was the only kid.
When I was a little kid, I was the only kid.
Good. When I was a little kid, I was the only.
little kid, I was the only kid.
When I was a little kid, I was the only kid.
When I was a little kid.
I was the only kid.
I was a little kid.
When I was a little kid, I was the only kid.
When I was a little kid, I was the only kid.
Good. When I was a little kid, I was the only kid.
When I was
When I was
when
a
I was
a
a
little
little
kid.
kid. I was still two
The. Pronounce that the. The. The.
the
Yes, that's very good. The
only
only.
kid.
The only kid.
The only kid.
Very good. I was the only kid.
I was still the only kid.
One more time. I was the
I was the
only kid.
only kid.
Now, do it all. When I was a little kid, I was the only kid.
When I was a little kid, I was the only kid.
Good. I was the only kid in my town who didn't have a bicycle. I was the only kid in my town who didn't have a bicycle. So take it from here. I was the only kid in my town.
I was the only kid in my town who didn't have a bicycle.
Good. Didn't have, right?
Didn't have.
I was the only kid in my town who didn't have a bicycle.
In the town who didn't have a bicycle.
Okay, start right here. I was the only kid
I was the only kid
in my town.
in the town who didn't have a bicycle.
Good. Now you get it all. Start here. When I was a little kid, I was the only kid in my town who didn't have a bicycle.
When I was a little kid, I was the only kid in my town who didn't have a bicycle.
That's good. Gabby? When I was a little kid, I was the only kid in my town who didn't have a bicycle.
Todo.
Yeah.
When I was a little kid, I was the only kid in my town who didn't have a bicycle.
Very good. Gloria?
When I was a little kid, I was the only kid in my town didn't have a bicycle.
In my town. You want to
In my
pronounce it?
town.
In. You want to try it? When I was a little kid, I was the only kid in my town who didn't have a bicycle.
When I was a little kid, I was the only kid in my town who didn't have a bicycle.
Good. Joseph, would you like to try it?
When I was a little kid, I was the only kid.
Say the. The.
Only kid in my town.
In my town.
In my town.
My.
My in my town. Good.
Who
Good.
didn't have
Didn't have this
bicycle.
bicycle.
That's pretty good. For your first day, that's really good. Okay, So, we've got almost all of it done. Want to take another 5-minute break, and we'll finish it up. We'll see the video again, and then we'll watch another one. 5-minute break. Joseph, remember you're going to have this on a CD so you can practice at home 1,000 times. You're doing good. It's good. This was a little bit difficult. Okay, so then he says, where can I start? Right here again?
Yeah,
Is that where I could?
yeah, you can even, yeah.
I need to put a mark right there so I can remember. He says, okay, go with that. Go with that. Okay, and that's the doctor. So, the bartender continues. I mean, all the other kids had one. Why not me? Why not me? Bartender, doctor, excellent. Continue. Down.
Ah, ¿verdad? Sí, yo lo vi entonces, pero no sabía si. ¡Ey!
Nobody went anywhere.
No tension.
Okay. Well, since you're all here, we will continue. Oh, wait a minute. This is all the bartender speaking. Oh, by the way, does everybody know what a napkin is? Does anybody not know what a napkin is? You don't know? Okay. A napkin, if you're at a restaurant, they give you a napkin so that you can got it? No. You're at a bar. They give you a napkin to put your drink on. No? Serviette. Okay.
Yeah.
So the doctor says, now remember, the bartender was talking about not having a bicycle when he was a little boy or kid. Everybody else had one, but he didn't. It's very sad. Maybe that was a trauma, a psychological or emotional trauma. And the doctor's thinking, wow, maybe that's why he has a splitting headache. Maybe it's a trauma. So he says, okay, go with that, go with that, go with that. Now look at this. TH sound here, TH sound here. Run that together. With that, with that. Say with that.
With that.
With that. With that. Run those together. Okay, go with that. And then the bartender says, I mean, and he's continuing his story. Talking about being a little kid, no bicycle. I mean, all the other kids, these two sounds also will run together. And that E right there will sound like a sound. The other. And then this O you won't even pronounce. The other. Say the other. The other. The other. The other kids. Gabby? The other kids.
The other kids.
Run it together. The other.
The other.
The other kids. The other kids.
The other kids.
Say the other. Because that's how most people are going to speak. They don't say the other kids. They say the other kids.
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 Other kids.
The other kids. I mean, all the other kids had one. One what? Bicycle. Talking about a bicycle, right? Why not me? Why not me? Why not me? Why not me? Why not? And this T sound is very soft. You almost don't hear it. Why not me? Why not me?
What not me?
Yeah. All my friends are rich. Why not me? All my friends are happily married. Why not me? Why not me? I mean, you could use it for anything, right? So the doctor says, excellent, excellent, yeah, continue. Excellent, continue. So the bartender, and this is the funny part. This is where it gets funny. And then, listen to this. Run this together. And then, the D sound is going to disappear. And then. And just pronounce the TH. And then, and then, and then, and then, and then, and then. I bent down, bent down, bent down. When you say that fast, this sound's going to disappear. You're going to pronounce the D. It's going to run together. Bent down, bent down. Okay? You could say, I bent down. But if you say it fast, most people say it fast. They're going to say, I bent down. I bent down.
I bend down. I bend down.
I bend down.
I bend down.
I bend down.
I bent down. That's bent down. I bent down. I bent down. And then I bent down. He didn't just bend down, he bent real fast. Real fast. real fast. Oh, and once again, T sound right here disappears. Real fast, real fast,
Real fast.
real fast,
Real fast.
real fast,
Real fast.
real fast,
Real fast.
real fast, real fast. To pick up a napkin. To pick up, to pick up, to pick up.
To pick up.
All that together. To pick up.
To pick up.
I bent down real fast to pick up
Pick
a
up. Napkin.
napkin. I bent down real fast to pick up a napkin.
To pick up a napkin.
Uh-huh. I bent down real fast.
I bent down real fast
Good. To pick up a napkin.
to pick up a napkin.
Perfect. I bent down real fast to pick up a napkin.
I bent down real fast to pick up a napkin.
I bent down real fast to pick up a napkin.
I bent down real fast to pick up a napkin.
I bent down real fast to pick up a napkin.
And then when it comes up, bang! Head on the bar. Oh! He says, I hit my head again. I hit my head. I hit my head. I hit my head. That T sound disappears. I hit my, and that sounds like a MA sound, really. Ma. I hit my head.
My head.
And that sounds like that. I hit my head
I hit
again,
my head. I hit my head.
again.
I hit my head 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 again.
I hit my head
I
again.
hit my head again.
I hit my head again.
I hit my head again.
So again means he did it once before.
Again.
This is the second time. Again. And then he looks at the doctor, he's like, so, what do you think it is, doctor? What do you, all this run together, the T sound disappears, you pronounce the D very softly, what are you? And you want to run that together, and this is going to sound like you. Almost like an A sound, yeah. What are you? But it's kind of in between a U sound and an A sound. You don't say you and you don't say ya, but it's kind of in between. What are you? I'm gonna put it. So, what are you?
So what did you?
So what are you?
So, what did you?
So what are you?
So what do you?
So what are you?
So what are you?
So what are you?
So what do you?
Think. Now, so what do you think? So what do you think?
So what do you think?
So what do you think?
So, what did you think?
Good. So what do you think?
So what do you think?
Okay. Run it together. What do you
What do you
think?
think?
What do you think it is, Dr. Crane? So what do you think it is, Dr. Crane? Can you say that?
Yeah.
So what do you think it is, Dr.
So what do you think is in electroplane?
Think it is. It is. Yeah, we want to run this together too. It is.
Think it is electroplane.
So, what do you think it is, doctor?
Good. Well, let's pronounce this y. Most people are going to say y. They're not going to say you. They're going to say y. What do you think? What do you think? What do you
think?
It is.
It is.
It is. It is. It is. And that T is going to be really soft. Almost don't hear it. It is. It is. What do you think it is?
So what do you think it is, Dr. Crane?
What do you?
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 Do you?
What do you think?
What do you think?
What do you think it is?
Is it,
What do you think it is?
What do you think is the actors? These actors?
Oh, back up.
What?
What do you think it is?
What do you think is actors?
It is.
It is actors, great.
Say it. What do you think?
What do you think is?
It is. It is.
This.
What do you think it is?
So, what did you think
Uh-huh.
it is, doctor?
Good. What do you think it is? What do you think it is?
What do you think it is, Dr. Queen?
Okay. Let's not worry about Dr. Crane right now. Let's just say, so what do you think it is?
So,
So what do you think it is?
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 Otra vez. One more time.
So what do you think it is?
What do you? What do you?
What do you?
So what do you think it is?
So what do you? So what do you?
And then you say Dr. Crane. Okay? I'm going to say this one more time, really fast. Okay, go with that. I mean, all the other kids had one, why not me? Excellent, continue. And then I bent down real fast to pick up a napkin. I hit my head again. So what do you think it is, Dr. Crane? Anybody want to read the whole thing before I erase? No more time?
Time.
No more time. We have to,
We want to see the
Yeah.
video one more time, though.
yeah, a couple of times and that's it.
Now that you understand